Good morning. My name is Octavia Gentemann-Schmidt. I'm from Sternfarben in Germany, and I would like to tell you something about the current energetics on the Wesak full moon. So the full moon we now have in Taurus. I'm used to write articles on astrology. This is the first time that I'm recording things, because I have a bit of a weak shoulder after the surgery. So in the coming months, I think I will go back to writing, but for today I would like to speak a bit about the current energetics, and I hope that you're enjoying it. When I was in my morning meditation this morning, I got aware of the differences in the energies that within myself. So if I'm fully aware of the Wesak full moon, then I know that it is the highest feast in Tibetan Buddhism, and that on that day Buddha is reborn. So compassion and love and mindfulness is born on earth again. It is a time to reflect and meditate, and therefore to accept the projects for humanity that needs to be done. So to look at the status of humanity and to see what we're in and what may be needed for humanity and Earth as a whole for us to enhance and open ourselves to more consciousness. But then we have a chart, so that chart is quite, well, on certain points I would also say it is difficult. There's a difficult energy impulse. And I was struggling whether to tell something about it or not. And this morning I got aware that this is exactly also the level that I should address. The level we see what is going on, the level of projects we would love to take, the level of projects we might need to take. And that there is a conflict between consciousness and everyday life. So, of course, I will address the issues on COVID, on the virus that is spreading around the world, because this has a certain impact on the way I see the energies being addressed in humanity as a whole. So the birth of Buddha is in Taurus, in the bull. And Taurus is in itself a sign of plenitude. It is like a bull, like a cow on a meadow, where everything is there in plenitude. The planet that is reigning in Taurus is Venus. So Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and Venus at this point in time is on its brightest point in the sky. You can see it very easily in the evening sky. And it will turn retrograde soon. We have the moon in Scorpio. So the complete axis of Taurus and Scorpio is activated. And this is the axis of matter and transformation. We have Saturn and Aquarius. We have Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. And to address the next energetic issue, Saturn will be retrograde soon and Jupiter will be retrograde soon also. So within 4 days, Saturn will turn retrograde, then Venus will turn retrograde, and then Jupiter. This will be between the 12th of May and the 15th of May, where all of these 3 planets will turn retrograde. And given the current energetic and the world and the tensions that are there, we will quite possibly see and feel the shift in energy. With the full moon in Taurus and Venus as representing money and material things and values, everybody wants to go now and go shopping, because all of the masses were held back, and now everybody wants to open the shops, and which is we want to go all out on the meadow again, but we have a slight point of warning coming from the cosmos. As you may know when you were reading my articles, that I'm quite fond of the Sabian symbols. And the Sabian symbols for this full moon, the sun is Taurus in the symbol between 17 and 18th degree of Taurus. And this is the symbol of a woman airing an old bag through the open window of her room. And Dame Vodia refers to this symbol as the cleansing of the ego consciousness. The traditional teaching concerning man's nature are somehow reconciled with the youthful enthusiasm that sees in every problem of growth an issue between the good and the bad. But the symbol suggests that the real enemy is within the mind. It is the ego and its attachment to possessions. The mind is shown in the likeness of a bag, now empty and needing to be aired in the sunlight. But the window must first be opened and the bag emptied. The phrase cleansing the doors of perception has become well known of late, but even more to be cleansed is the container of perceptual images, the ego mind. The key word is purification. So the symbol is warning that we have to address our issues of how we deal with matter and what we are putting in our bag. And this at a time when everyone is striving to go out in the shopping centers and to fill the bags again. We had a phase of reconciliation in the past weeks, and this was given to us so that we reconsider how we go on with money and with values and with matter. It is not an antimatter status that should be reached. But in the Western world, we need more reflection that it does not matter at all cost. So we need a bit of detachment from everything that is going on. Not that we are going as a poor or as a beggar. It is about a wise using and addressing material stuff. So we have the sun in Taurus in a full moon constellation where the Buddha is reborn. The Buddha asks about wisdom. And we have Venus in Gemini on its brightest in the night sky. And she will turn retrograde soon. And she is asking for another reflection also then. She's in Venus in Gemini, from the esoteric point of view, is on its own sign. Very powerfully asking us to reflect on right human relations, because Gemini is the sign of interconnection. How we deal with media, intermedia, how do we deal with trade, how do we deal with merchandising, with everything, with communication, with social media, with internet. Venus in Gemini was like an anchor in the time during the lockdown, because the online shopping, the e-commerce was available. But were we open for the teaching, for the lesson that we got as humanity and as a culture in the time during the lockdowns or the quarantines? Were we able to see that stuff is not working the way we thought it should work? So we have now, on the very, very low level of material life, a Venus that is reflecting e-commerce, a Sun that is wishing for the shops to open, but we have a Buddha asking us to reconsider our values. We have the question from the universe to consider what we are thinking, where we are driven by polarities or by unconscious values. What are the real values? What are the real values of right human relations, of interconnections? And where can we be wiser in using our material and our money and our thoughts, especially our thoughts? When I look to the other side of the full moon, we have the moon in Scorpio. And the Sabian symbol for that is a path through woods brilliant with multicolored splendor, the exalted feeling of a work well done, and a truly consummated life. The person who has lived with faith the transpersonal life, the life through which spirit radiates creatively, can experience blessedness and peace, even though his or her cycle of experience nears its end. It has been a life full of seed. The seeds are hidden perhaps, yet they are filled with the power to overcome cyclic death. The soul is at peace. The clear autumn sky silently intones a great message. Well done, little man. We can see the smile of the youth brought to a more mature, more spiritual culmination. Human nature is a magnificent symphony of warm, rich colors, now that the strictly biological green of vegetation experiences its transfiguration. So the symbol for the moon is warning, or is showing, that there is so much splendor out there. Even though it shows a path through the autumn woods, it shows a path, multicolor, splendor. We have seeds were grown, some things are fruiting, so you can harvest them. Nature is preparing for cyclic withdrawing and reawakening. So the Sabian symbol at this point in time, with the Buddha consciousness of compassion and mindfulness awakening, tells us, hey, we are in cycles of life. One cycle is ending. Something has changed. Be aware of the multitude and plenitude out there. Go into nature. Meet with nature. Take a deep breath. Let the creative spirit flow and reconsider your values. Empty your bag. Do not go outside and shop in the same moment. Empty your bag. Check what you have bought, what you have collected. Reconsider what is in your mind. What are your thoughts? So the Sabian symbols are very, very precise in what they are telling us energetic. And in this energy, now the mundane life pulses to reopen the shops. Why we may not have emptied the bags, why we may not have reconsidered what the changing of our current circumstances really mean. What has the virus taught us? What has to deal with the virus taught us? If you were reading my articles, you may remember that in the February issue, I reflected on China because they had their new year, and I was already warning that stuff may not look that good, and because everything was in the 8th house of death, so that a lot of problems and restrictions were possible from China coming, but that there was also a tendency that information were not flowing clearly, and that scientific data has to be released because a lot of things were also in the 9th house, and especially Chiron was involved. And I want to deepen that Chiron thing. In case you are not aware of the myth of Chiron, Chiron is an immortal. He was a centaur, or is a centaur, also half horse, half man. And while helping, he got hit by a poisoned arrow. And immortal as he was, he could not die. But he had suffered such a wound and so much pain that he needed to reconcile and started to enhance his medical qualities, to collect plants, collect herbs, and develop medicine for himself. So he could have quite a good life again, but an altered life. He was altered through the wound. And this is a bit the state of the Western culture right now. Or globally, we are altered through that virus. Something has hit us unexpectedly, not in a war. Accidentally, we got a poisoned arrow. And we have to change life. We have to change our attitude. But while we are seeking for a medicine, that may be a medicine to help us ease the pain, Chiron is also a reminder of naturopathy, of natural medicine, of herbs. It is not only a laboratory medicine we should take note of, but that we may have changed and alter our way we are dealing with nature and food, that we may reconsider alternative medicine as one of the healing methods, as we may reconsider our status to vitamins, as we may reconsider how the body functions, how our immune system works, what it is with our mindset, what it is with our emotions as individuals and as collective, and how we deal with life as an overall thing. Something may have hit us, and we are altered, and we have to deal with it. And how do we deal with it? To me, Chiron is a very strong reminder of, just as I said, natural medicine. So we should maybe reconsider whether we get help from nature for the situation we are in. Chiron is at the cusp of the 9th house, or in the 9th house, considering which house system you work with. So there is still the question how science deals with it, and higher education. What the impact of the virus means for science, and what the impact means for education, for higher education at universities. It is also asking us of the interconnection of our life in terms of airplanes, traveling, and in that sort of tourism. We may be wounded in tourism aspects, but maybe we have also to reconsider how we were traveling. Is it really necessary that we go to the Galapagos Islands, or that we are marching in the snow of Antarctica, one group after the other? Do we really need to go anywhere in large amounts of groups? Do we really need to build hotel complexes on beaches? What is it that we seek in another country? Is it that we just go there to the beach and have food and drink and nothing else? Or do we go in contact with the culture? Are we really interacting with the culture? Are we open for the culture? So there are interesting questions coming around. If you were reading my articles, and I give the link below that you can find them if you seek them, I was talking that we have an emphasis of planets on one side of the horoscope, and it tells from a perspective that we also have an emphasis in a certain area of life, which was then mirrored as quarantine, or that kind of lockdown, that people are asked to be at home. This planetary alignment on one side of the horoscope, or just in a certain amount of the sky, is lasting until June, and then the planets are more spreading again across certain areas of the ecliptic, and therefore in the houses of a horoscope. So I made a statement that I think that the most pressure of the lockdown will last until June, which is what happens here in Germany. We have restrictions going on until June. What I see coming, just as I mentioned a few moments earlier, Saturn and Jupiter will be retrograde, and both meet with Pluto again. And the virus came with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and then the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. The virus emerged in the international world. So both Saturn and Jupiter are going to meet Pluto again, and therefore there will be a second wave. In this way or another, we will have the impact of the beginning of the year again this year. So we will have restrictions in place. We will have to reconsider our everyday life, our everyday structure. This will take place June, July, August, September. I'm sorry, we really have the whole year dealing with this in waves coming and going, but with growing tension to reformulate our life around this. I'm now just I'm just reflecting on the horoscope for America, because the full moon there is shortly after sunrise in Washington, which means that the full moon is on the axis 12-6. So in the 12th house, 6th house, and this is the axis of health. America is not due. America needs to look at the healthcare, at the health system. America does not need to open its economy. It is such a bad idea to open the economy on terms that Donald Trump wants, because the whole horoscope of America yells health system, health system, health. As the sun is in the 12th house, it asks people to be inside, even if it feels like a kind of imprisonment. The sun in the 12th house is a symbol for institutions, for healthcare system, for hospitals, and for also prisons or imprisonments. It is a symbol for houses where you have to pass a guardian to enter, which is a larger facility where they are doing face check, identity checks. So this is a symbol in the modern life. In the traditional sense, it is really a symbol for withdrawing, to go inside, to go to have a retreat, to be in a monastery, to be in a hospital. So to really retreat within you. And the moon in the 6th house is the symbol of everyday order, of everyday work, but also of everyday healthcare, of how do you organize your own life so that you and your body stay healthy. It is a very bodily, a very regulated house. So where do you have your daily discipline? Are you doing daily sports, or what is your nutrition? What is your way to feed yourself? Is this healthy? So it is the whole full moon is on the axis of healthcare, of health at all. And I'm a bit worried on what I see. Saturn is at the MC. Pluto and Jupiter is in the 9th house. There will be a lot of discussion around vaccines. There will be a lot of discussion around healthcare. There will be a lot of discussion about the right structure. But there will be also a lot of discussion about the deaths occurring. Pluto retrograde, Saturn will retrograde, Jupiter will retrograde. There will be an absolute searching for the right healing method. But I'm not sure whether science has enough space to develop the right things in this way. The southern Venus is at the cusp of the 2nd house. Of course, everybody, 2nd house is the house of money, the house of wealth, of self-value. But it is turning retrograde, so it is running into the 1st house again. It is about the own resources that America has, and to whatever is coming is fate. The northern node is in the 2nd house. So to insist on a status of money and to insist on the status of luxury and not consider the welfare of all will have fate as a consequence. Neptune, Chiron, Lilith are in the 11th house. The 11th house is the community house, where people come together. The groups, the soul groups, the working groups, project groups. So it is a matter that working groups should be formed for homeopathic or naturopathic, because Chiron is in the 11th house, and Lilith and Neptune. Crude oil, Neptune, will be an issue for society as a whole in America. Nevertheless, Chiron is in the 11th house. Whatever is going on is wounding the society. It has a wounding impact on what they call society and groups and like-minded people. Chiron and Lilith and Neptune in the 11th house demand that values are reconsidered and that the wounds are addressed. I would reconsider for America an universal basic income to bring wealth into every household, so that every household has the ability to deal with it. The values of each person individually has to be addressed, and the people themselves need to be strengthened in self-value and money. The resources America thinks it's having is not there. Venus will turn retrograde and run away from the second house into the first house again. So people will be very much on their own with their money. And this needs to be addressed. The values are there already, and the wealth is there already. And I'm reminded again on Andrew Young and his universal basic income, where a lot of money comes from e-commerce. The advertising clicking money can be collected for universal basic income. It is really a time to reconsider the wealth and the way things are addressed. For America, Mars is in the 10th house. America has the tendency to either go military, so to force action into place, or America is waiting for the right actions to occur for people. But when I see this horoscope, I'm sorry to say that the images that I get are more of fields of death, like in New York, where you have to dig mass graves, or that with military action or military within the society, things shall be put through in order to mobilize people for the economy where they in fact are ill. So the horoscope for America is saying that they are not through. They need to do something in the healthcare system. They need to provide healthcare for the people at home, individually and as an institution. But that there is a tendency to address it wrongly, but there needs to be the right action occurring for alternative medicine and for an alternative lifestyle. Chiron needed to change his life into another way of living. With herbs, he was able to regain, or with medicine, he was able to regain a normality for him, but his life was changed. He could not heal completely. And America may have to address that. There that there is no, well, a certain time has ended, and just as the Sabian symbols are telling also, it is a cyclical phase going on. The cycles are now coming to an end, and a certain lifestyle may have ended. And we have to address that. There were certain trumpets sounding, climate change, pollution, and now the trumpet has another sound. And the sound is the same. We have to address another lifestyle, a more natural lifestyle. It is not about poverty going on. It is about changing to a more natural lifestyle for everyone, while maintaining a certain kind of technology. So we are not back to the roots in terms of we have to go to the caves again. It is about a middle path between nature and technology. And America did not face it. For at least the next 4 weeks, until May 22nd is a new moon. And we may be able to address certain issues after May 22nd. But for at least 4 weeks, America will still be incredibly busy with the healthcare system. I'm now clicking a bit around. Because I want to do just a small look into the next full moon coming for America. Because this horoscope is troubling me too much. You will, on the stream, just see the horoscope and the new one. So, Washington, full moon. Okay. Next full moon is on the 5th of June. So, okay, there the main focus will be in the scientific field. But Jupiter is realigning with Pluto, again retrograde. Venus retrograde with the Sun, conjunct. Okay, so whatever is going on will have very tense struggles going on in June. I give a short glimpse of what's coming through while I watch it. The necessity to develop another lifestyle or Chiron is in the 6th house, so it will be important that the people are having another everyday life. Lilith will be at descendant, so there may be struggles for independence going on at the same time. So people need to struggle to be independent from what maybe the state is doing in order to maintain their own health. Mars is aligning with Neptune, which means there may be struggles around petrol, gas, resources. And an urge to develop the right values, Venus, in science and technology. The full moon in June will be also quite an energetic one, and America will shift between healthcare and science, but it will be quite a rough fight for people in their everyday life, and what is needed is compassion. You really need to develop compassion. We have Mars squaring the full moon, so there is the tendency for violence, for aggression, or for military action. Well, then I will look into that in 4 weeks. The times are demanding so many adaptations that we also have the chance to do it better in each moment. So to really do the changes that give a better life. And maybe America learns. But right now, when I look to the horoscope, it is shaken to its roots. Because Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, all retrograde, are at the lowest point in the horoscope, the IC. Death will be in the homes of each people. Sorry for that. I would recommend, because it is the full moon of compassion, that you withdraw and meditate. Go into a retreat with yourself. Call in the Buddha of compassion. Call in compassion to yourself. And reflect on what the higher mind, what the higher purpose, what considering humanity would do now. Ask for the really inspiration to seek the right projects, to enhance life with creation and creativity. Try to avoid the path of aggression, but reflect on right action. But especially reflect on right human relations. Especially when you live in America, reflect on what you can do to bring more health, what you can do to bring a better life, to bring better structures, what you can do to bring abundance to each person, and not to just a few. What can you do to bring health into each home? What can you do to bring knowledge and wisdom into each home, into each house, into each person? What is your contribution to that? May the stars guide your way. May they shine upon your path. And may the star that you are lead your way.